Up you and welcome back to the channel if you've been here before, and if you haven't, hey, welcome. Big shout out to everybody that is liking, commenting, and subscribing, sharing the videos. Could not do this without all of you, so from me to you, thank you very much. You are the real stars of the show. Please keep doing so, and make YouTube pay me, and I never have to ask y'all for anything but some love in return. So my last video got a whole bunch of views. I need some more interaction there. If you don't mind, go and check out the previous video. You won't be disappointed. But for this video, I'm gonna do something a little bit different. We are gonna go off the rails a little bit. We are normally doing very budget-friendly decks. I started, they're 30, 50 bucks, $75, somewhere around there. Normally, a lot of my decks that I show on this channel are very, very budget-friendly. This one, however, we're going off the script, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, and non-binary folk. We are going off the script by going 100% non-budget, and it's going to be a fun one, is all I can tell you. So, what do I have in store for you today? Well, let's check out what we got. For today, we're going to look at Crosis the Purger. He's one of the invasion block dragons, if I remember correctly. And personally, my favorite one is going to be Daragaz, or Daragaze, however you say it. I always said Daragaz. The Igniter, he's Jund, of course, and Jund is my wheelhouse. Guilty. So, he's always been my personal favorite. However, today we're going to check out Crosis the Purger. Excuse me. So why Crosis the Purger? Well, because I felt like making something, a little bit on the nasty side. And to go with that, I wanted to go full evil, if you will. So we're going to check out Crosis. Crosis the Purger is 3 in Grixis for a legendary dragon. He's a big whopping 6/6 flying beatstick. Not too shabby, huh? It says, whenever he deals combat damage to a player, you may pay 2 and a black, and then if you do, choose a color. Then that player reveals his or her hand and discards all cards of that color. Spoiler alert, no, Painter's Servant is not in this list. Would be an obvious duh kind of include if you got your hands on one, especially because it just got a reprint as a special guest in the Lorwyn Eclipse set. It's not in this list, but that would be a hilariously bad time for a lot of people. Kind of about it with this deck. This deck, I don't have a budget really. I don't have any of the OG dual lands in here just because that's anybody can do that, I guess. So there is a little bit of restriction. So let's take a look at what we got going on here. First up, we have our only Planeswalker of the deck, Angrath the Flame Chained. So for 3 in Rakdos, we get a 4 loyalty Planeswalker with the following abilities. +1, each opponent will discard a card and lose 2 life. -3, we're going to gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap it, it gains haste until end of turn. And then we can sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step if it has converted mana cost 3 or less. So, even though typically we want to use him to help us discard, because our goal in this deck is very simple. We have cards and you do not. Simple. Very, very, very simple. Very, very straightforward. So typically, yes, we're going to use a +1 ability to make everybody discard cards, lose life, and just have a grand old time. The alternative to this is if there's a pesky creature like a Draneth Magistrate, maybe there's an Esper Sentinel or an Ocelot Pride, anything that we can kind of deal with at a 3 mana slot. It's never a bad idea to kind of potentially cash in Angrath and just go, we're going to take that for a quick test drive, if you will, and we're just going to eat him to the graveyard because you don't need that anymore. But his last ability is also -8. Each opponent loses life equal to the number of cards in his or her graveyard. So, if we keep everybody's hands empty and we keep him alive, there's a very, very good shot that we could pretty much deliver a final blow with this. The point of the deck is going to be, as I said, very straightforward. We're trying to keep everybody's hands empty and keep ours relatively full. It's just kind of a Grixis mid-range kind of build is kind of how I have it set up. It just seems pretty good to me as if you build it more of a mid-rangey. So that's kind of what we have set up. First up are creatures out of 22 of them. Lazot's the Deepest Betrayal. So for 3 and double black, we get a big old Bat God who is a 4/4 with flying and lifelink. Pretty nice. And whenever he attacks, each opponent discards a card. For each opponent who can't, you draw a card. So if everything is set up right, he attacks, hits somebody for 4, we gain 4. In a perfect Magic Christmas land, nobody has any cards in their hand, and we're drawing 3 cards. What's not to like about this, everybody? Like, we're gonna have fun. I don't know about you, but we're having fun. He also has an ability that says whenever an opponent discards a land card, create a 1/1 bat creature token with flying. Because let's face it, 9 out of 10 times, your opponent's typically not going to want to get rid of, like, some kind of potential way to deal with your problems. A board wipe, a counterspell, single spot removal. Maybe it's a creature that's a key to their combo that doesn't need to get in the graveyard because we don't have a way to get it back out of the graveyard. So typically, what are they going to do? Discard an artifact, an enchantment, probably a land. And we're going to try and benefit off that. And if you were to die, we can transform him as a land. He comes into play as a land. For 2 and a black, transform Temple of the Dead. Activate only if a player has 1 or fewer cards in hand. Activate only as a sorcerer. So if they ever do kill Aklazotz, they actually have to double kill him in a way, because you need to be able to kill him as his Bat God form, and then you have to be able to get rid of him as he flips over to a land. So it's going to be quite a bit to ask for most decks to be able to deal with both parts of that. And yeah, people could team up and, swords it and then beast within it or something, sure, but I'm making players do a lot of removal for 1 card, and there's a lot worse in here, everybody. We have Blazing Spectre, so flying haste, 4 mana for 2/2, deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card. Blizzard Spectre, 2, and it's going to be a Dimir for a 2/3, flying. And whenever he deals combat damage to a player, choose 1. That player returns a permanent he or she controls to their hand, or that player discards a card. So we could potentially deal with, a Blightsteel Colossus, for instance, if it's one of the few things on the battlefield for them. It's potential. I mean, they could always just return a land or a mana rock, sure, but, you never know. We could make him discard something that could be beneficial. We have Burglar Rat, just a nice little 2-drop for the curve. When he enters, each opponent has to discard a card. Dimir, Cut Purse. So whenever he deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card, and we get to draw a card. Not too shabby. Being a 2/2 body with really no evasion, it's going to be a little bit hard, but you might get lucky and hit him for a couple of damage here and there. It's just decent. Felwar Spectre has flying, and whenever it enters the battlefield, each opponent has to discard a card, and then whenever an opponent discards a card, they lose 2 life. Like that. Nikobolas, the Ravager. So we get a big bad legendary Elder Dragon for 4 mana, 1 in Grixis. He's a 4/4, as whenever it enters the battlefield, each opponent must discard a card. And then for 4 and Grixis, we can pay this mana cost only as a sorcery and flip him over into Nikobolas, the Arisen. He becomes a Planeswalker, y'all. Love it. So, let's sit in for the long haul, shall we? He starts off with 7 loyalty, +2. we're going to draw 2 cards. -3. He deals 10 damage to target creature or planeswalker. That seems a bit much, but might be needed. -4. Put target creature or planeswalker card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under our control, so we can reanimate something. It's not too shabby. -12. Exile all but the bottom card of target player's library. So if you got somebody that's kind of being, a not so good person, if this makes it basically 3 rounds the table, they're going to have a very bad day. Pretty mean if you have to fight anything that has graveyard recursion, like most Golgari decks. I mean, I don't know, make a deal. Hey, if y'all can protect this thing, I'm going to deal with a Golgari deck. But that could very well get you killed pretty quick, too. Liliana Spectre, kind of the same thing when it enters the battlefield. Pardon me. Everybody's going to discard a card. Lavaborn Muse is one of our win conditions. It's slow, but it's a win condition. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, if that player has 2 or fewer cards in hand, it deals 3 damage to them. Croxa, the Titan of Death's Hunger. If we did not escape it, it goes yeeted back to the graveyard immediately. That's fine. We just care about this enter the battlefield ability anyway. So whenever he enters the battlefield or attacks, each opponent discards a card, and then each opponent who didn't discard a non-land card this way is going to lose 3 life. Kind of nice little drain effect. It's pretty neat in the deck, I think, just because for double red, double black, you can escape it. So if you play double red, double black, and remove 5 other cards from your graveyard from the game, and bam, we got our big bad Elder Giant back on the battlefield. Yep, I did it. Sure enough did. I added Kefka, Court Mage, to this one. So for 2 in a Grixis, we have our Human Wizard here. That's a 4/5. And it says whenever Kefka enters or attacks, each player discards a card. Yes, it hurts us too. That's okay. Then you draw a card for each card type among cards discarded this way. Excuse me. So we could potentially draw at least 1. We could draw 4, 5, 6 cards. Who knows? For 8 mana, we can also transform Kefka into Kefka, Ruler of Ruin. We don't need to do this at sorcery speed. But then we get a 5/7 flyer that says whenever an opponent loses life during your turn, draw that many cards. Just a little bit of benefit. Hypnotic Spectre, when it deals combat damage to an opponent, that player discards a card at random. So I like this card more than the others because you don't get to choose what it is. You literally get hit for 2, you shuffle your hand, and you can lay them out and number them, 1 through whatever for dice rolls. You can fan them out to somebody face down, of course, and say, hey, pick a card. So I really enjoy the aspect that the Spectre brings. Is it's completely random, so you don't even get to say so in it. Nightskip Familiar just makes blue and red spells. Cost 1 less to cast. This might actually come out in favor of something else. I haven't quite decided. Nightvale Spectre deals combat damage to a player. That player exiles the top card of their library. And then we may play cards exiled with the Spectre. Notion Thief. Pretty self-explanatory. We can flash them in. And if somebody would draw more than 1 card on their turn, then we get to draw those cards instead of them. Sangromancer, I thought would be a fun add to this deck. So, for 4 mana, we get a 3/3 flying body that says whenever a creature an opponent controlled dies, we get to gain 3 life. Whenever an opponent discards a card, we get to gain 3 life. We're the big bad of the table, guys, gals, everybody. We are the big bad, so we want them to come at us with their best stinking shot. We want them to try and kill us, because it's not going to work. Scythe Spectre, whenever it deals combat damage to a player, each opponent discards a card. Each player who discards a card with the highest mana value among cards discarded this way loses life equal to its mana value. So go ahead and discard that blasphemous act. You're gonna lose 13 life. By the way, it's a loss of life, not damage. So anything that says prevent combat damage, or not really combat damage, anything that says prevent damage doesn't work. Yep. Sure enough, everybody, I am that person with this deck. I do not care when I built this deck. This deck was designed to punish and hurt people, and that's what I want it to do. That's why Tergrid, God of Fright's in here. If you don't know Tergrid, you will soon. So for 5 mana, we get a 4/5 Menace God with whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent, discards a permanent card, you may put that card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under our control. So, if they happen to discard, I don't know, some big, dumb, idiotic Eldrazi that they're hoping to reanimate, maybe you're fighting me and it's a big, dumb dragon. Well, now you get it. Joy. Urgoros, the Empty One. Whenever it deals commanders to a player, that player discards a card at random. And if the player can't, we get to draw a card. So not too bad. It's 6 mana. It's awful steep to get this out, but it has its purposes. Turok, Red Cantor. So bear with me, everybody. This is a lot to read. So for 1 and a black, we get a 2/1 Legendary Human Cleric with Picker, double black. So if we play double black as we cast this, so basically 1 and triple black, we get the following. So it has protection from white. Whenever an opponent discards a card, this thing's going to get bigger. It's going to get a 1/1 counter. Then, when it enters the battlefield, if the kicker was paid, target opponent discards 2 cards at random. No selection for you. Bed and Bones, Bauble Burglar. Whenever an opponent discards a card, exile it from their graveyard with a stash counter on it. During your turn, you may play cards you don't own with stash counters on them from exile. Mana of any type may be spent to cast those spells. And then 3 and a black, tap it. Each opponent discards a card. What's not to like about Tony Bones? Pretty good card if you ask me, especially in this kind of build. And we, last but not least, have the Raven Man to round out things. At the beginning of each end step, if the player discards a card this turn, we get to make a 1/1 black bird creature token with flying, and this creature can't block. So these are attackers. This is like turn sideways because we just don't care. They're not going to block. And then for 3 and a black, we can turn him sideways. Each opponent must discard a card. So we can force you, if there's cards in your hand, to discard and give us bodies. Sorcery package is very light. We're running Blast Act, Reanimate, Siphon Mine, which makes everybody but us to have to discard a card, and we draw all the difference to that. So in a normal 4-person pod, we make you, and you discard, and we draw 1, 2, 3 cards. Like that. Board wipe number 2 is Toxic Deluge, pay life to neg X things. Instance package is relatively light as well. We have a lot of counter magic with Offer You Can't Refuse, Negate, Swan Song, and Counterspell. We're running Crosis Charm because, Crosis. Chaos Warp, the Devil. We even have Withering Torment in here. And finally, a Cyclonic Rift. We're just trying to make sure everybody has the salt. Give us the salt. Yeah, give it to us. Artifact package. We're running Arcane Signet, Commander Sphere, Demir Signet, the Tropic Battle Cruiser. So this is really good here because what we have to do is crew this a few times to get it up to just the first ability. Like, we don't even care about it being a creature. That just means it's vulnerable to be killed. We don't want that. We just want to level it up a couple of times, or crew it up a couple of times, station it, whatever you want to say. So we get this effect. Whenever an opponent discards a card, they lose 3 life. It is loss of life, not damage. It does matter in some instances where people are like, oh, I prevent the damage. And no, you don't. Just a nice little, a nifty little card. Death's Grimoire. beautiful artifact in anything like this. Whenever an opponent discards a card from their hand, you may draw a card. You notice it is a may, not a must. Very important, keep that in mind. We're running the signets, of course. So we have the Izix signet. We have talismans as well. So Talisman of Dominance, Talisman of Creativity, Talisman of Indulgence, Arachdos Signet, and a Demir's Signet. So we're running all our signets. Swiftfoot Booties, of course. Soul Ring, which, by the way, I cannot wait for this Secret Lair set to drop. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to have money to get it that way, so secondary market it is. Hopefully, y'all will be kind. Relic of Sauron, and it is really, really good in this deck. So tap, add 2 mana of any combination of red, black, or blue. And then for 3 mana, we can turn this sideways, draw 2, discard 1. Not too shabby of a card, if you ask me. We have Thought Vessel and Wayfarer's Bauble to round out our artifact package. Enchantments were kind of heavy because we have a lot of chaos potentially. There's Bandit's Talent, which has a whole list of everything it can do. But let's get into it, shall we? Whenever it enters, each opponent discards 2 cards unless they discard a non-land card. And then we have a 1 black. We're going to level it up to level 2. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, if that player has 1 or fewer cards in hand, they lose 2 life. And if we go full board to level 3 by paying 4 more mana at any point in time, as long as we do it on our turn, because it is sorcerer speed, at the beginning of your draw step, draw an additional card for each opponent who has 1 or fewer cards in hand. Not too shabby. We have Blood Chief's Ascension, so anytime something from an opponent goes to the graveyard, we're able to get counters on this, and then we're just going to start grinding people as they play spells. Yeah, it says from anywhere, so I mean, they could discard it, they can mill it, blow it up, whatever. We have Liliana's Caress and Megrim, both do a very similar thing. So they both say whenever an opponent discards a card, that player takes 2 damage. So pretty similar, except for Megrim says deals damage, and the Caress says loss of life. Might matter. Painful Quandary. Oh, this is so beautiful and evil to have in here. So for 5 mana, we get this enchantment. It says whenever an opponent casts a spell, that player loses 5 life unless they discard a card. Well, if you got no cards in your hand, take 5, homie. Pain Magnification. Whenever an opponent is dealt 3 or more damage by a single source, that player discards a card. Y'all do know that if you swing in at somebody, and I have this out, and you deal like 5 points of damage to their face, they have to discard a card. Isn't that great? Because it doesn't say it's from us. It's just whenever they're dealt 3 or more points of damage. Not my fault. He hits you, not me. Waste Not. So anytime somebody discards a card, we get any of the following. If they discard a creature, we make a zombie. If they discard a land, we make double black. Excuse me. And then whenever an opponent discards a non-creature, non-land, we get to draw a card. Not too shabby. Shrieking Affliction. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, if that player has 1 or fewer cards in their hand, they lose 3 life. Pristic Study to force some card draw. Puppet Banner for a little bit of protection. And of course, Telepathy makes all of my opponents play with their hands for fields, so then we can literally look and go, okay, black is a terrible color call, even though they have black on the battlefield, they don't have black in hand. However, they've got a lot of blue and a little bit of green, so we could call blue. And make everybody who's got blue discard. And yes, of course, it doesn't even matter, because if you had Painter's Servant, you just call out a color, and everybody's deck is that color, and things just go ham. I get it. It's not in this build, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to throw it into the deck if you had one. Just, spice it up a little bit. Running 36 lands. Lands being at 36 is just kind of my sweet spot, if you will. Like, it's where I'm comfortable with. Most of my decks is being around 34 to 36, sometimes 37. I know, like, my Dragon has about 36, 37 lands. Really just kind of depends on the deck. for me in particular. I know, everybody says 38. 38 just seems like too much for me. Like, maybe it's great for you. If it's great for you, awesome. But I try not to get too mana flooded, and it seems that happens quite a bit. Or maybe I'm just bad at shuffling. So let's look at our land package. We have Blazemere Verge, the Blood Crypt Command Tower, Dragon Skull Summit, Drowned Catacombs, Evolving Wilds, Amorphic Pool, Electric Suite, some islands, the Dire Reach Sanitarium, Field of Ruin, because if you've watched my videos before, then you already know what I'm going to say. Having at least one piece of land destruction does matter. It can make a difference when dealing with some problematic cards, i.e., our Bat God flipping over. This is a way to deal with the Bat God, not really taking up a slot, because it's still a land. We also have Exotic Orchard, some mountains, Smoldering March, Steam Vents, Sulphur Falls, Sunken Hollow, some swamps, Xander's Lounge, a watery grave, a training center, and finally a Terramorphic Expanse. So, our graph down here at the bottom kind of shows you how, like, we're not too bad. We have a pretty decent curve, I think. Handful of 1-drops, really high on our 2-drops, some 3, some 4, 5, 6, tapers off, that kind of thing. So that's not too bad. We're predominantly black according to the pips that we have, so we're okay there as well. And you can see, just doing a few sample hands, it'd be kind of fun. I really like this one with Turgid. So draw 1, draw 2, draw 3. Oh yeah. We still can't drop Turgid. I mean, we could have. Yeah, so in a few turns we just drop Turgid with a little bit of counter magic backup, siphon the mines, so then everybody has to discard cards, and then we might be off to the races. Never know. But this has been a very fun build. It's very purposed. This deck is designed to be as mean as I can make it without completely obliterating some kind of a bank account or a credit card or whatever. So that's why I designed this. This is designed to make people miserable, which is something I really want to do in this color wedge. I want to make you miserable. I don't want you to be having fun. I'm having all the fun and you're having none. It's kind of designed that way because our meta is pretty tough actually out here, and I haven't quite got the chance to test it yet out in the field, but I will definitely have to let y'all know when I do, so then I can give you an actual proper report of how the deck runs. Do I think something is missing? Does it need a little bit more speed? Does it need a little bit more mana? That kind of thing. Which I really hope it doesn't need more mana, because I don't know what I would take out for it. I really don't. Nope. Nothing coming to mind right now. So let's hope that 36 is going to be enough. But anyways, my name has been the one and only Buddha Dragon. And before you go anywhere, please drop me a like. Hit the subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Leave me some comments, everybody. Go back, check out some other videos. I've got a whole smorgasbord. And leave me some comments. Comment on what kind of budget commander deck you'd like to see me build, with what kind of theme. You can take the chains off and tell me to just go bananas and design another deck that is no budget. What are we trying to do? What kind of nastiness are we bringing to the battlefield? Tell me to design something wild out and goofy. I'll try my best to get that delivered for you, and I will even give you a shout out in the video when I do decide to do that. So even though Crosis is not technically the best dragon for discard, old school Nugabolas technically is, I didn't want to go that route. I went with this route because it's something different, in case anybody was actually wanting to know from the start of the video. So let me know what you think about Crosis the Hand Purger. Is there something you would do a little bit different with Crosis here? You might have actually noticed that there's no one ring in the deck because I don't think we're going to need it. We have our synergies with discards and drawing cards off the discards. I think we will be fine. So, what do you think? What should be put into this deck? And if you suggest something to put in, make sure to give me a reason as to why something should come out. Until the next video, I've been the Buddha Dragon. Thank you everybody for watching. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, ring that bell for notification, and if you haven't subscribed already, what are you waiting for? Come on, show me some love, leave me some love, and I will gladly return it. Until the next game, it's time. Peace out.